now. So this is not a new thing for me. Um, and I think before then, right, because I spent a year in Egypt and I was so lucky. I spent a whole year in Egypt. I spent a lot of time in Luxor. I was around the pyramids of Giza, around the Sphinx, and then I've traveled to a lot of sacred sites
Did you
before I
come
was
to
even
the
aware.
Bronx to see the ley lines in the Bronx?
Do you know I've been to the Bronx because
Did you come to the Bronx and the ley lines? All that's grandiose in all the places you've been, but did you come to the Bronx though, man? Continue.
so here's the thing. That's interesting, right? Because I used to work in the music industry from 2004 to 2015, and I was like between London, Miami, Atlanta, New York. So I went to the Bronx to meet with TD, who's Sweet Speed's father, actually. Yeah. I went out there, we chilled with him, he was amazing. So, but I didn't, a lot of this stuff I've been on ley lines without even knowing that I'm on lays, but I became aware of them 9 years ago. And I started to spend time on them and realize that actually they really activate you, right? What happens is that there is a muscle behind your eye, like you know that you're on a ley line because you do have a physiological response because the tectonic plates in the earth, where the tectonic plates in the earth have a gap, there's an energy that comes, a magnetic field that can come through a lot more powerful, right, from the earth's crust. And that's where this energy is really intense. And like when you spend time on the lays, you have a physiological response. So what happens, there's a muscle at the back of your pupils that starts to contract, and then your temples will start to contract, and then you start to sense like this kind of like surge of energy. Like it's different for everybody, right? What's beautiful is that everybody's unique, but then you start to sense this kind of like, for me it's a silver light above my head that starts to rotate. But what tends to happen, and for 9 years I've been taking people on ley lines, so I've spoken to a lot of people and the effects that they've had, and they tend to say that they feel like their senses are incredibly heightened, right? So what you would ordinarily feel in a fight or flight mode, which is like your hearing is really sharp, your vision's really sharp, right? Your sense of smell's really sharp because you're in fear and you've got to get going. So all of your senses are heightened. So it's that kind of, all of your senses are heightened, but instead of being stressed, you are very centered, grounded, confident, and calm. And actually nothing can rattle you because you're vibrating at the highest level that the earth vibrates at. So it's a phenomenal experience. And then obviously we know that every single sacred site around the world was strategically built on the ley lines because they knew where they were. And dowsing to allocate ley lines and divining has been going on for thousands of years. All of our ancestors have been dowsing, not to just find sacred water. By the way, sacred water and sacred wells come from when two ley lines cross, then it generates like really sacred water with a very, very high frequency. And that's where you get the holy wells, right? And so ley lines are phenomenal. It's interesting because we were in a room and a gentleman spoke. We held a room about dowsing, and he said that ley lines have been kept secret, and there's a lot more than we know, and this is absolutely true. There is a lot more, so it's really good that we can actually dowse. I found a solar ley line in my back garden actually when I came back off my dowsing course. The City of London. So I'm going to talk about three really, really powerful spots in the world, that two of which I've been to, one that I haven't been to. So the City of London is on a dragon ley line. They've marked it with the dragon and the shield from the beginning to the end. St Paul's Cathedral and Temple Church is on that dragon ley line. So it's a country within a city. So it has its own governance, its own legal system, everything. And every single global financial transaction gets routed to the City of London and back out, right? So if a person in China goes to a cash point and sticks their card in to get some money, that transaction gets routed to the City of London and then back out to China, and then they get their cash. So it's the financial center of the world. And see, they harness these energies and they're so spectacular and you can do great things on them. So that's the City of London, that's a dragon ley line. And then the Vatican is on another dragon ley line. And that's the religious center. The Vatican is the smallest and the richest country in the world. It has its own government system. It's based in Rome. I've been there on those ley lines. And then obviously Washington, D.C. is a country within a state. It has its own system and everything, and that's the military arm. So when someone like a Kanye throws the three-headed dragon in his video, right, he's talking about those three dragon ley lines, those really powerful energy centers that he's alluding to. I mean, I could talk about this forever. Is there something specific that you guys would like me to talk about in terms of like what lays are where and how people harness and how they can energize them? Is there anything specific that you'd like me to speak about?
Minnesota, he's all
Yo,
yours.
I'm here. I just see now. I've heard of ley lines. The first I heard of them years ago, but didn't know what they were. And people like you know, the energy centers, and they said the Great Pyramids of Kemet were the main ley lines. And then somebody else told me Kemet is the actual center of the flat Earth. Whatever. All right. So, no, I had them in the back of my head. So I started researching ley lines. I can't remember the website, but I was like, let me check out these ley lines. So I started looking. I said, let me see if there's ley lines in the Bronx, in my original neighborhood. So I said, rap, cool. All right, Kool Herc actually didn't start rap, but he's one of the founding fathers. The guy who started rap passed away. His name is Disco King Mario, and he's from my area, Soundview, right? So I said, let me see if this ley line shit is real. It would have to be where rap started. So I started looking at Mario's neighborhood, which is Bronxdale Projects on Soundview Avenue, and across the first park that they ever threw jams in the early 70s is called Rosedale Park. So I look up Rosedale Park and it's like fucking six ley lines running all through the park. Now the ley lines aren't continuously, they're just in the park. So now I go into the projects where Disco King Mario was from, where you had the biggest gang in New York called the Black Spades, which the movie The Warriors was loosely based on them. So I start looking, and the ley lines go into Bronx. The ley lines are literally where hip hop started. So I said, hold on, this shit got to be a coincidence. So I'll go over to Kool Herc's neighborhood, which is Cedric Avenue. The ley line runs on the side of his building. It's a half a block. It's from Undercliff Avenue down to Cedric, where Kool Herc started at. And I'm like, holy shit! It's in the park where he used to throw jams. So I'm like, nah, wait a minute. So then I go and check Bronx River houses where Africa Bambaataa is from, and there's another ley line. I said, well, it blew my mind because now I didn't fully know what ley lines were, but I'm like, yo, it's something about these ley lines where the people have a special energy. So then my friend Hakeem Green, he's the one that had the record out with KRS back in the days. All we do is smoke man ism. He was the one who was telling me about ley lines. So um, he was like, we were having a conversation about the drug dealers in Harlem back in the days. He was like, yeah. He was like, them motherfuckers got them. Them motherfuckers in Harlem is special because they got ley lines under them in Mount Morris Park. So I had never went and looked for it, but I went and looked for it after he told me that, and I was like, "Holy shit, what are these ley lines about?" So I'm very ignorant to ley lines, but now that you say it's energy, what I'm starting to see is that me being a black man, of course, growing up in the black community, there were certain tribes in certain areas that were more influential than others, and that energy turns out to be where everybody got their energy from. And my area for the Bronx, as violent as it may be, we start a lot of trends but never get credit. Soundview was like, I always said Soundview was like the Harlem embassy for the Bronx. And now I understand why. Because when I looked in my original neighborhood, I looked in it was ley lines under the fucking building, right where this group called the Jazzy Five was from. And they would throw their jams. And then you go to Bronx River, there's ley lines. And then you go to then you also, when you go to Disco King Mario, where Herc is from, those are like the only real ley lines in the Bronx that I've found thus far. And I was like, yo, wow, this shit is amazing. It can't be coincidence. So I'm understanding now that ley lines is that je ne sais quoi energy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Though you'll find
The ley lines
Hey
are the
Susie, do you
veins of
think
the
you
earth.
can get into like how can you harvest and like store and utilize the energy of the ley lines with purpose? You know, because they were doing it subconsciously and just by default, but like how can you harvest it to do more than what it would do naturally?
yeah. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to address that, but can I just say to Minnesota that even though they're not showing you on the maps, right, um, specifically how these lines are interconnecting with themselves, I can guarantee you that the lines that you're seeing are not as short as you think they are. I'm going to give you an example. The line that goes through Jerusalem, right, comes right the way through Europe and hits right the tip of Cornwall in England. The line that comes through the ocean comes right the way through and goes through Cornwall, St Michael's, Thor, Glastonbury, Thor, Avebury Stone Circle, the Sanctuary, Stonehenge, and then into the City of London, right? Now, along that line, there are all these megaliths with crystals, and they're the old school Wi-Fi that the ancients put onto the ley lines because those things communicate, as does Egypt, right? All of these spaces, they communicate with each other, they talk to each other, they talk to each other underground and overground. So when those lines come through, let's say like New York, right, they're bringing the energy from across the world to that space. So even though on the map they're showing you that it's a broken static line, that's not true. That's not true. That line is running right the way through, going from site to site. It's like our earth grid system. It's connecting, and the ancestors knew exactly where to place these particular like architectures so that they harness energy, accumulate energy, and communicate with each other, right? From one place to another, right the way across the globe. They are all interconnected, like literally. And so when you look at like Washington, D.C., and like when you see obelisks, right, that aren't supposed to be there because it's not Egypt, then you know that what they're doing. So if you create a building with a point, then that creates even more concentrated magnetism, right? And that really holds that energy there. So whenever you see an obelisk like placed randomly somewhere where it doesn't belong, yeah, that's what they're doing. They're harnessing energy. And to address the question that was just, yeah, intention, like, so literally, I kid you not, when you go onto earth energy lines, it's instant manifestation. Like you become like literally one, your frequency rises so high that the infinite is possible. You just have to conceive it because now you're vibrating at earth, high earth frequency. And it was so interesting because Mariam, and some of the mods in this room, read the gateway papers, right, the declassified gateway papers, and this was all about astral projection and going even beyond like the realms of time and going to the absolute, which is like the divine highest realm. And what was the underlying thing there was, you can do it if you vibrate at a frequency. So they created all of these tapes at certain hertz to get these people, because they wanted them to astro project and go and spy and shit like on the astro plane. But the idea, the science, at the bottom line of the science was, you can do anything if you can vibrate at a frequency. Now that's just standard grounding at earth frequency. Imagine now if you're spending a serious amount of time on ley line, which is like super heightened earth frequency. Also astrologically, so these lines get even more activated with the lunar cycles because there's water running underneath them, and with the solar cycles and also planetary alignments. So if you can astro project by going barefoot on land and just harmonizing yourself and meditating and getting to vibrate at earth frequency, imagine what you can do at ley line frequency. Does that,
Right.
have I addressed everything here that you were alluding to?
Yo,
Uh,
listen, very, very much so. And I just want to say something, right? If everybody refreshes their page, right? I just changed my profile picture to the ley line to where rap actually started, which is Rosedale Park. And look at the ley lines running through it. The shit blew my fucking mind. And they're not all over the
Wow.
Bronx. They're only on Rosedale Park, right there. Look at the ley lines running through the park. Those yellow lines, those are ley lines. So I'm like, yo, what the like it blows my
From
mind just to
Minnesota,
know the
go
energy.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
barefooted, go barefooted to Rosedale Park, and that's where it's at. We're gonna go barefooted over there. I'm gonna go over there tomorrow. No, no, no.
What you eating, sugar free?
Right. So now, now I understand like why certain areas were always more influential than others. So back in the days, look, the biggest gang in New York City was the Black Spades in the 70s, in the late 60s, early 70s was the Black Spades. And their stronghold was right where you see those ley lines at is right there. So once they if you guys look at it's called Rubble Kings on YouTube, and then there's another one called 80 Blocks from Tiffany's, and there's another documentary. Once the Black Spades called a truce, they called a truce, and came out of this truce because you couldn't travel to different areas in the Bronx back in the days because of how bad the gang shit was. So when the gangs finally called a truce, that's when the music came out. But right there, if you look at my profile picture, that's Rosedale Park. Look at the ley lines running through the park. Shit blows my fucking mind.
Quick interjection. How does a ley line connect with mushrooms and psychedelics?
Oh, I don't know that.
I didn't hear if you
I don't
know.
know.
To be
Well,
honest with you, sorry, I'm just going to say that if you kind of like don't really need it, right? Because it's going to do something to you that's so tremendously powerful. And I've taken hundreds of people on these ley lines, and it lasts for about 21 days. It's not even like a short thing. Like you're literally getting charged up. Like your battery's low, guys. Get on a ley line, you'll get charged up.
so yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that essentially the ley line, the result of it, the impact of it is similar in a sense in what we're doing plant medicine for. So it definitely has that effect, but it's all coming from the earth resonance. And yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for all that. And I just want to let everybody know real quick, we're doing these dowsing series, the ancient technique, where Susie and Veronica are teaching everyone how to dowse. And the dowsing is across the board, but there's going to definitely be a zooming in to the ley line topic. And so I just want you guys to know you're all invited. If you want to, I pinned it up top, so just check it out. You can tap the bell. It's going to be Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And I also want to welcome Tasneem, my beautiful, lovely soul. How are you? Good to see you in here. And Susie, that was such an amazing and abundance of information. I would love to open the floor to anybody who
Now
has
take
questions.
it back to psychedelics and mushrooms. During the show, I did that ley line for you. Mushrooms and psychedelics. There's a lot of informed people in this
Wait,
place
wait, wait,
about that.
Susie. Though I want to ask Susie about the how to harvest the ley line energy and like to specifically use it for more of like your purpose. You know,
I have a question after him. This is I am Michelle.
No, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
I mean,
Any ley line question you have is more than welcome. Thank you everybody for being here. Hit the green bean up there. Thank you everybody. I met you guys through a voice, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the energy that y'all let me bring to y'all spaces, and I'm thanking y'all for coming to my space. This is not my space, it's our space, and we're gonna be as objective as possible here. And thank you for coming, and thank you for disseminating the information. Continue.
Brandon, let me, because I think I tried to kind of answer it before, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper because I can see that you're sensing there needs to be a specific answer to your question, right? So I'm having to dig deep to get that for you. So I'm going to say this to you that the lunar cycles are really important to these ley lines, right? So I would recommend that if you, I mean, they're heightened energy centers anyway, right? They already are tremendous frequency centers. Um, equating them to kind of like the earth chakras, but there's so much of them. So I mean, the fact that they take the world and they do this kind of like, they try to show you like, oh, here's these earth energy lines, right? And this is this and that. That's absolute nonsense, because there are earth energy lines literally all over this earth, pulsating and trying to communicate with us and heal us and help us like evolve. But I would say that if you specifically want to really get aligned. And it's interesting, when I take people to sacred sites, we douse and we locate the lunar lines, so that they call those, the lunar lines are called Mary lines, right? And then you got the St. Michael's line, which is the solar line. So most people would be inclined to think that, oh, I'm male, so I'm going to get on the solar line, da da da. Well, actually, no, because sometimes to get harmony and balance, depending on what you're trying to do and where you are through your own self knowing, you may actually need the lunar energy, right? So you may need to get on a lunar line, or sometimes you may need to get on a neutral lay so that you can balance if there are things that are out of kilter. But I kid you not, like when you get on the land that is active, you don't need the dowsing thing, you don't need anything. It will call you. Like your body will like just go to where it needs to go, because as we discussed in the dowsing room, everything that you need to know, every answer that you are seeking is within your divine self, right? You just need to know and have a couple of skill sets on how to pull it out. So I find, and it's interesting when you're near lays, you look at kids and animals and they're on them, right? You kind of like go to a park, and it's interesting because you've got the map there, right? And I'm sure if you go to that park and you look at where those lines are, you'll see that the little kids are just intuitively on those lines, playing and laughing and just having a great time. But yeah, just if you want them even more heightened, then winter solstice, summer solstice, and new moon, full moon, they're even more powerful than they usually are. Is there anything that I've missed? Brandon, did that answer the question?
Bomb atomically. That was beautiful.
Yes,
Thank
that answered the question. So
Amazing.
basically, go get a bunch of kids, let them out in the wild, and see where they go and stand and play.
Yeah, yeah, or animals, but just watch nature, right? I don't know about get a bunch of kids,
Be
but
careful where you get the kids at.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just.
Even nature, just look like the birds and everything, like they know, right? We know as well, but they also know too. Yeah.
Susie told me that Mount Shasta, because I go up to Northern California quite a bit to visit my family, but I think that's one of the biggest ley lines in the U.S., or one of the best, I think she said. So just throwing that out.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Ohio. Sorry,
So Susie, if I go barefooted in Rosedale Park, where all the big lane lines is at, what benefits do I get?
you'll sense it, you'll feel it, and I mean, like, think about, is there something that you need to manifest? Like, focus on that. Be very specific
The
with your
six winning out of
manifestations.
numbers, mega million, other million, whichever
Oh
one.
wow.
I'll be
You know what
alright.
it is, right? Here's the other thing that I learned about dowsing really quickly. Um, they say like don't even douse numbers for like gambling, because that's not really what your divine self is there for.
Joke,
And
Susie.
often, no, 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 but it's interesting, right? Because people would like, hey, if I know the answers to everything and my divine self knows everything, then I want to know them lottery numbers, right? If I know everything, then why shouldn't I? It kind of doesn't work like that. It really is about, when you use the word divine, it is about divinity, and those things don't have the frequency of the divine, maybe. But I'm going to mute my mic because I know this.
I am
I think
Michelle.
Michelle.
Yes, I have a question for you, Susie. Isn't it known, because I've done some extensive study on the ley lines, and I also knew that some of the rulers of the world and evil people also use the ley lines to cast spells as well. Could you elaborate on?
Oh my God, yes, I can, and unfortunately, so Mariam's help. For those that have heard this before, I apologize. This is like a repeat. So last year, 21st of last winter solstice, right? They started working the UK Earth energy lines, and they did some really ancient rituals. And then they had the G7 gathering here in the UK on the St Michael line, and they lit St Michael red, and they all stayed in Pendennis Castle. And recently, as soon as this like new variant dropped, they held a
Sucker
huge
free.
ceremony.
Your mic is open. I don't know if you knew that. We can hear you eating.
Yeah. So, literally 2 weeks ago, when this variant came out, the biggest ley line ceremony took place where they created the old ancient pathway between Hatmanshu and Karnak Temple in Luxor. They had been there for at least 6 weeks, activating the Elijah ley line in Luxor, like Prince Charles, Camilla, like all the world leaders were there. Um, and yeah, they do this work on the Earth energy line. They
Susie,
do.
1 second, one question.
So
I have a back channel person. You can answer the other question. Just let me know. I just had to read it. But these energies and these ley lines, have they been hijacked by other specific type of people and been used culturally against people? Is the knowledge of these ley lines been culturally used against a people culturally? Do you have any knowledge of that?
Yes.
yeah, yes. Obviously, listen to what, like, just to reiterate, remember what we spoke about, right? The financial center is in the city of London. That's the Dragon Ley line. The military center is in Washington, D.C. And the religious center is in the Vatican in Rome. And those are on Dragon Ley lines. So there is definite, because you can, once you
So they
vibrate at
they
that
counterput
frequency,
it. They took the ley lines for them, and they have been using it against other people.
no, they can't, right? Because it's a frequency, and you can only tap into the frequency. And you, I mean, maybe on a neutral ley line, you can redirect energy, and they do a lot of work on these ley lines. They do spend months like trying to redirect that energy.
Was
But at the end of
Alexander
the
the
day,
Great next to them ley lines? Him and Leopold.
all of those sites, so all of those ancient temples, as you go along, you'll find that they're strategically built on the ley lines, all of them.
Like alchemy
Exactly.
symbols.
Right. That's what I was asking you, Susie. And also, when you get into the study of it, you also know that it also goes up in the air, and this is why it's associated with the Bermuda Triangle. However, the strength lessens the further you go up. It does lessen the strength from it, you know. So, but yes, they have been using these things to do evil to people, and if you don't know about it, you know, you wouldn't know what to do to protect yourself or to fight against some of the evil things that's being done. And yes, this is horrible, but they took a good thing and made something bad out of it. So that's
Can, can I just say though that
So,
regardless of what,
Jamal, can I say something?
hey Jamal,
Look, okay, look. I just want to drop something, and I want you all to follow my thread.
I don't know
Who
if it's me or
is
you in the Matrix, bro.
who is this? Can you hear me?
I think you're in
your
the
reception
you're in
matrix.
is
the
really
matrix,
bad.
honey.
Yeah, you in the Matrix. It ain't me. You are in the Matrix. Jamal, speak or
Oh,
wait till you get out of
please
the
let me
Matrix. We want your input. I heard about you.
am I here?
Jamal, we can't hear you yet, love. Oops.
He'll come
Um,
back, Susie. Continue. He just left. He'll come back. Continue.
yeah.
Guys,
So
Jamal.
I just want to say, guys, that no matter what they think they're doing, from what
Uh,
I've experienced,
You stood in the Matrix, Jamal.
That's how you know he got some good information, Susie.
yes, yes, he does. He's a beautiful soul. He's an absolute king. He really is. Um,
Paul is a
look,
Mary Ann interjector. She's good. Go ahead. Jamal, we can't hear you. We patient with you. Don't worry about it. Nope. No. No. Matrix.
Yo, I'm gonna change the picture again so y'all can see the ley lines on the side of Cool Hertz building. Give me about 30 seconds.
Susie, continue till Jamal gets some traction.
yeah,
Aurora, I hope you're getting a lot of good information. I hope everybody's getting a lot of good information. and let's share this information. Let's pin people. Let's bring. Listen, people have Clubhouse and people have weirded out Clubhouse, but we're taking Clubhouse to a level where it was going to be of intellectual minds. So we are what Clubhouse is, and we not going to be what Clubhouse should not be. So continue, Susie.
Michelle, um, I know that they do a lot of work, and I know that they manifest tremendously on these ley lines, right? They do. But the ley lines come from like the earth,
Yes.
and the ley lines are far more in tune with nature.
Yes.
And they're trying to communicate with us. So quite honestly, Michelle, I'll be straight. Like I don't care what they're doing because we can also do whatever they're doing. Like we can do. Like there's nothing that they're doing that we can't do,
And
and
that's what
that's
I
the
was
bottom
getting at,
line.
Susie.
Yeah,
So this is
definitely.
why it's good for everybody to be aware of what the ley lines are, because sometimes the enemy know more about some things than we do. And so if we are exposed to this, then we wouldn't have to worry about them because we know how to use it positively.
How do the people
Absolutely.
know where lane lines is at, and are they lane lines in their city, and where do lane lines are at, and how far are they from, and are they only in those type of places, or can we go? Can somebody pin something about lane lines or where they located, so I get that for the back channel?
Aloha, this is Jamal. Am I back?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it's
Yes,
Loud and
better.
clear,
Jamal.
Jamal.
Okay, peace to everyone.
Welcome.
So, well, thank you so much, Sister Miriam. So, this is what's coming up for me. Who did she say, Susie? Who did you say was at the ley line ceremony the day that the variant dropped? You said Prince Charles, right?
They were there. Well, Camilla and Prince Charles. I
Okay.
just managed to get a picture of them, but there was.
Okay.
They say there was 30 world leaders, but I kid you not. I guarantee you, there was more than. And what was interesting is that they didn't show the leaders, right? When you watch the whole ceremony, you don't get to see one single leader. But yeah,
I can tell you why. So, who is Prince Charles's father?
Prince Philip, he's dead.
All
Okay,
right,
and
Jamal, go ahead.
what did he say before he died? He wanted to come back as.
A virus.
Okay, so what kind of ceremonies do they have at Karnak? They resurrect Osiris at Karnak, right? So they resurrected him as what he wanted to be, which is a virus. This is what I talk about when I say rituals. For the fact that his son was at a place in ancient Kemet where they resurrect Osiris. And his father said he wanted to come back as a virus. And the very day that his son is there at the place of resurrection, there's variant. Like, is it my Scorpio moon that's tingling? Or am I on something here? You see what I'm saying? Like, while we are
You're
sitting,
back in the matrix,
can
You're
you
Jamal.
back in the
explain?
matrix. That's because he's dropping some jewels. Did
I
you see that?
agree.
That's
I
I'm
they
telling you,
agree.
come on
jewels.
with it.
Those
He'll
is
come
well
back.
polished
This is
diamonds, baby. He's
Damn. So
telling you something.
we could probably harness these energies to collapse their system.
absolutely
Absolutely.
Minnesota.
Yo,
It's
you know
Exactly.
almost
what's
like the five stones of that shit, man. All these movies mean something, man. Don't get it twisted.
anybody in here from the Bronx? Anybody from New York?
I
I'm
spent
not
six
from
Jersey.
years
there,
in
but
New
I spent
York.
a lot of time.
I am going to as I research this, I'm going to find out more places that have ley lines, but my neighborhood that I'm from in the Bronx, right? Rap started there. We don't get the credit for starting rap. They say it started on Cool Herc side, but as I'm researching, it's ley lines running all through my area. Now, if you're from the Bronx, you kind of know, or maybe you don't if you don't live in the East Bronx, because that's where I'm from, the East Bronx, Soundview. But that's the area that started rap. But the thing about my area is, so far as the people, if somebody makes it doing music, everybody does music. If somebody makes it as a gangster, everybody everybody turns to a gangster. Like we got a kid out of my neighborhood that made it into the league. His name is Kimber Walker. And now all the young kids from my neighborhood are into basketball. So it's like whatever the lead energy or the lead charge is, that's what everybody ends up doing. So it's kind of crazy. Like you're giving like as you're speaking about energy, I'm looking at how my neighborhood has had a silent influential energy in moving things forward. Like in my neighborhood, the first people wearing Timberland, basically Timberland boots blew up off of my neighborhood because the scramblers used to wear Herman Survivors, North Lakes, and then they landed on Timberlands as the scrambling boot in the 80s. And that everybody started wearing Timberlands. That comes out of my neighborhood. Fat Laces. Fat Laces comes out of Bronx River. Like it's so many things in the Bronx. Like we started but never get credit for it at all. But all I'm saying is as I'm listening to your talk about energies, we were unknowingly manifesting energies as children that went global. And now that I'm hearing this conversation about ley lines, I'm like, oh shit, I get it. Because as I'm hearing you talk, I'm looking at a whole nother movie as you guys talk about how energies are put out. And then there's places where energy stem from. So if you look at the planet Earth today, we got something in the economy that these people never planned on. They never planned on black billionaires and millionaires coming out of housing projects all across the nation. So yeah, that's all, man. I'm sorry, I'm a little excited listening to your talk.
Oh,
I land.
bless you.
I
Denise
have
Bronx
a
asked
keep on
me,
making it. Brooklyn keep on taking.
Denise asked me a question about how does she find ley lines where she is. And so look, I mean, I'm gonna give you two solutions, but I think the second is better, but it's a little bit more time consuming. The first is just to Google online, right? And they'll give you some information. It's a hard dig. You've got to really go at it and know, ley lines, Ley lines, Ley lines, right? Ley lines when you're doing your searches. Sometimes it's better to look for sacred sites, ancient sites in your cities, or like the parks, right? Specific like public spaces. But the other way to locate the ley lines is through dowsing, right? You literally can go and dowse and find out. You can ask your dowse, like, are there ley lines in my city, right? And your dowse will tell you yes or no, right? Then you got to like specific questions. Okay. Are they in the city center? Yes or no? And narrow it down and narrow it down and get to location. And then just when you get to location, if you've got a dowsing rod, you could just say, like, take me to the ley line. And the dowsing rod will move left and right and this and that until you get to the ley line. Then you can find the width, you can find the depth, you can find out if it's lunar, solar, whatever, like all of those things you could just find out through dowsing yourself. Because I'll tell you something, they're not going to give you all of the ley lines that are in your local areas. They'll give you the obvious ones, but and then there's a thing, there is other frequencies like healing geo spirals. These are really powerful. And if you can find a healing geo spiral and you can go and stand on it, it really just cleanses your auric field, your chakras, it gets your blood going, it accelerates, because like your body rebuilds every organ. The different organs have got different timelines, but when you stand on a healing geo spiral, and I kid you not, if you Google geo spiral, you won't find anything because they won't tell you about these things, right?
Susie, is this
But if
different from the vortexes?
thank you.
yes, yes, yes. Healing geospirals are either six coils, 12 coils, or 24 coils. Imagine like a spring in the earth, and they rotate up and down, and this water goes up and it goes down inside the earth. Like sometimes they're wide, sometimes they're a little bit more narrow, and they heal you. And they accelerate your DNA and they accelerate the building process that naturally takes place inside your body as well. The organ builds, right? It's the bone rebuilds, the skin rebuilds, the lung rebuilds. It accelerates that. So you can dowse for those things. And it's interesting because when you dowse and you get onto a healing geospiral, the dowsing rod just goes round and round and round and round, like it does when you're inside a vortex. The dowsing rod will go round and round when you hit a vortex. But with experience, you'll just know the difference. And furthermore, anyway, if you're looking for a geospiral, and your dowsing rod tells you you found the geospiral, and now your dowsing rod is going round, you know that you're on a geospiral, you're not in a vortex, right? But if you go and look for a vortex or a portal and you get to a vortex and now your dowsing rod's going round, you know that you're in the vortex because you asked to go and find a vortex. So you'll know because you'll be questioning, you'll be asking yourself, right? You're asking yourself,
and yourself is revealing the answer to yourself.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
I
drop
have
it,
a quick
Susie. That's it.
Wow.
Listen, this frequency shit is for real. Don't think because you get mad it's by chance. It should have got something to do with the moon and the frequencies. It's on
Yeah,
top of
this
you,
is
it's what's under you.
and this
You
is
just
where
in the
this
middle of this
whole
shit.
and this is where their whole belief system of as above, so below. Like we out here worshiping everything or instead of engaging in our
That's
sciences.
right.
And they are engaged in our sciences because I'm listening to this conversation and I'm telling you, I'm blown away because as I'm listening, your words are sending me to different thoughts and different times and things that I can remember. And I'm like a person that I'm not religious at all. I do believe there's source, but I'm not on white Jesus, black Allah, Green Lantern. I'm not on none of that shit. I'm on source and energy and science and I know that there is something that humans can't really explain. But yo, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to y'all and I'm just thinking about the people who were special for that time frame. I'm looking at their faces. I'm looking at DJ Red Alert, DJ Jazzy J. I'm looking at the music that has dominated the world. And this is why these people had to dig their hands in the music and turn it into something negative. Like I remember 1992 with all teens and our late teens and all the thugs, the gangsters, everybody was waiting for Tribe Called Quest to drop, Leaders of the New School, Main Source, and it was like two other groups, right? And then all of a sudden, the money was taken out of the eclectic music and put into nigga, bitch, hoe, suck my dick, I kill you, motherfucker. And that took over. So the funding, they know for them to do that, they knew. They took the funding out of, oh no, we don't need Q-Tip selling 5, 6 million records. We need to put this shit into the low frequency because they know about the fucking frequency. So now look where we're at. We're in a death culture. It don't matter how good your child is. Your child is growing up on death frequencies, and they did that for a reason. This deals with the fucking late. This is everything is energy. So I'm blown away. So no mind me if I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm fucked up from a musician standpoint, a person who grew up as a child at the jam and seeing DJ Mario sitting there in the park screaming Chuck Chuck City and just sitting at being at the origin point at 6, 7 years old, not knowing why this thing felt so good to be around these people. No violence. No violence. 1,000 niggas in the park. No violence. None. And that energy of just being around happy black people dancing, celebrating, and they're seeing where we are now and seeing how they move the energies. Like like once again, when I go to my neighborhood, if somebody makes it as a gangster, everybody goes gangster. We had a guy from my neighborhood by the name of Pistol Pete. And Pete was so influential, his style of gangsterism dominated the Bronx till this day.
Guess
Now,
what? Wait up,
they,
Minnesota. Wait up,
yeah,
wait up, wait up, wait up, wait up, wait up. And
yeah.
this fucking man did not last. He was at least, he was 20 years old when he was taken away from the streets forever.
He
20
was 20
years
years.
old.
Yo,
20.
listen, and you got
Or
grown
19. And
adults.
he spent mad years before that locked up. So his impact on gangster fucking culture in fucking the Bronx goes down for
His run was
like a
from
little
13.
8 months, 9 months or some shit. And all that
Right. So when
DFY
you
shit
see
he
all
was.
of this shit, when you see all this shit going in the Bronx, he was part of the influence of bringing, Los Angeles gang culture to the neighborhood because he was like the first one who brung it on the street. Like we would have never touched it. But being from my area now what I say is this: me coming from Soundview, what happens is whoever makes it, whether you make it in the gangster life, the music life, whoever makes it, the whole neighborhood takes on that energy. Kimba got into the league playing basketball. All the children over there are playing basketball now. Not to say that they're all going to make it, but that's the energy now. Like it's more positive, even though they've sent the Bronx back into the Bronx is back down in a bad negative portal now, but I'm just, just listening to you talk about energy. Like I always tried to explain je ne sais quoi, but now I actually understand what it is listening to you guys and seeing even down to the influence that Alpo had over New York City, even Rich Porter, just certain individuals. Like, all right, Mount Morris Park. I'm gonna check Harlem to see where the ley lines are, if there are any, and I'm pretty sure that they are. You know, I'm gonna check the World Trade Center to see the One World Financial Center to see if it sits on the ley line now when I get some extra time.
It absolutely does.
Mm.
Wow.
Is that what them fountains are for? Disrupt that ley line?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, because these people know.
Falling into a
They
never ending
know.
pit?
This is what I'm trying to tell you, yo. This is why, like, when you look at this tribe, this tribe of when I start to look at influential tribes on the planet, I look at Jamaica, I look at New York City, look at Chicago, or rather, let's just say the quote unquote African American, right? When you start to look at these tribes influence the world. Like whatever we're doing, everybody's gonna go and fucking do this shit. Whether it's a dance, whether it's a new way of cooking food, whether it's the lotions we use, everybody follows our shit, and we're always coming up with something to this day that the mainstream doesn't really know about. They didn't know about CMOS. You know what I'm saying? That's medicine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything, we're always discovering something and turning nothing into something. And that hasn't stopped in thousands of years. So when the cops are pulling you over and they're busting your head open to the white meat, know why? They know who you are. It's just, this is why, and sorry, I'm going to get a little negative. I have a concept where I say black people are the dumbest motherfuckers on earth because we are the energy, we are the money. Like we spend 13 a few years ago I found out that annually we spend $13 trillion. The fuck you mean we poor? How are we poor? Because we're giving our money to everybody but us. You know what I'm saying? So this shit is wild, man. Just yo, I'm sorry for
We
everybody.
don't have a system of recycling our resources. Our resources are depleted from our communities because we still haven't learned the art of a recyclable economy.
Yo, and we get
Right.
and we fucking hate each other to the pivotal. Yo, I have a saying, and I say nobody remembers the poor motherfuckers who move out the projects. And what that means is, nobody cares about you until you start doing well for yourself. And once you start doing well, this is when they get excited. Once that energy starts rolling into you, so it's like a spiritual jealousy more than it is a physical jealousy that the light that you know how they say everybody gets a turn. Once you get your turn, whether you're a woman and you wearing Birkin bags, the other girls who's wearing Coach bags want to scratch your face. Once that energy descends upon you, people in urban communities want to take you out. And they just want to take you out for the energy. It's not even about wearing jewelry. It's about the energy descending upon you and you being quote unquote having that special thing. So
Yeah,
now I
because
know listening to y'all that that
I
special
really
thing is
wanna, bro, I
that.
really, really, really wanna say the biggest contribution of black people to the whole world is house music. It came
Yeah.
from us.
Yeah,
I
it's everything.
I love you guys, man. The
So my
vibe,
nigga Vidge is in
nothing
And
is
tech
India.
real, man.
and
Hey
The
yo,
word,
wait up,
technology.
Minnesota. My nigga Vidge is in India researching everything, B. We like his eyes of the world, bro. Vidge, we love you, my nigga. Stay strong and keep on fucking researching, bro. You part of us, all
Absolute,
right?
absolute. And I just I'm gonna land my plane, and I'm not gonna be long, but I'm just gonna say like what I've been studying. I don't know how many people in here are familiar with the Dogon tribe, which is actually they just showed us our shit in the Black Panther movie. There is a place like that on Earth, and it's in Mali, the Dogon tribe. If y'all thought you were watching science fiction when you were watching Black Panther, they revealed a lot in that movie because that's the Dogon tribe in Africa
Yeah,
in
the
Mali.
Dogon, yeah.
Yeah, the Dogon. They have the highest UFO sightings on the planet. They live 80 miles in a forest. 80 miles in the forest that no one can go in. So when you see all of these people researching them, they'll say, "Oh, they're so primitive, but we don't know how they know about Sirius A and Sirius B." And they'll give the credit to ancient aliens before they give it to ancient Africans, right? So they tell you now. I need y'all to peep game. They tell y'all that we were so primitive and we don't know how they built the pyramids and this and that. But when you're looking at Tutankhamun's
Yo,
mask, you're
Minnesota,
looking
we
at
already figured it out. Our ancestors
yo,
was high on some good ayahuasca or something, and
yeah,
that's how the pyramid was built. I
yo,
already found
listen.
out. Nobody else
When
could
you when
find
you
out. I found it out in 13 hours, baby.
Yo, when you look at Tutankhamun's mask, you're looking at a laser cut mask. So let me tell you how deep this shit is, right? They have the technology. When I was a child, when they were digging and they was digging in the pyramids and all of that shit, we had all of these new gadgets all of a sudden a few years later. So this is the thing I'm saying. The common things that you have, like a remote, Wi-Fi, um, radiation, right? Like we're all on our phones right now. Y'all can hear me in real time because that's radiation. So harnessing radioactivity EMF waves. So you could call somebody on your phone and see them. This is actually ancient technology that is hundreds of thousands of years old. And they showed it to us in Star Trek, getting us ready when we was all shocked by Captain Kirk's phone, which is bullshit because it's our old shit. So every fucking listen, no disrespect to the white people in here, but I don't let white people off the hook for what the fuck they've done. White people create nothing. The white man's greatest invention was the patent office, the place to steal. Because everything that we deal with in our culture comes from us. Everything. I don't give a fuck if it's the highest scientific advancement. They'll give the credit to ancient aliens before they give it to ancient Africans, and ancient Africans are the people who made this shit. Special places like Ethiopia, special places like Ethiopia, special places like Egypt. And Egypt isn't Egypt. Egypt became Egypt when the Greeks conquered it. And guess where the ancient Kemites ran? The ones that survived? Guess where they ran to? Fucking Mali. So when you watch, I want you to all go and watch the Black Panther movie again and really enjoy it and know that it's not science fiction. I just want you to really enjoy. No, no, no.
I feel that connection was absolutely, in a very direct sense, in the jazz music that emerged right way back. You think they were channeling that energy like in a very raw manner,
All
But
right?
right,
nobody.
Mitch.
But
Anybody else? Susie, talk about it, man. Talk about it. Talk about.
Actually, whilst you were speaking, something occurred to me that the whole way that they built New York, right? Because New York is like single-handedly the fastest place on earth. There isn't another place that moves at the pace of New York. It's like I can't stay in New
If you
York for
say
too long.
New
I've got
York,
to.
okay, but the Bronx is totally different. That's like a
No, no, no.
subculture.
I'm talking
That's
about
like that's
Manhattan.
that's like
Yeah, yeah.
saying black people, and then you call the Bronx niggas, because
No,
the
no, no.
Bronx.
I'm talking about Manhattan. Like, let
No,
me
no,
be
no. I'm talking
specific
about. You
then.
said no, no, no. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you a better a picture of the Bronx.
Absolutely. And what I will say is that they built a grid system in Manhattan, right? Manhattan is a man-made grid. Like it's like life imitating nature. And that's why it moves at that pace. It moves. I've never met people that can keep going for as long as they do because that grid that they've built is really super powerful. But that's a man-made grid right there. There isn't another city in the world that moves that fast. I mean, I don't know what's happening now, but that's like
No,
before
no,
this
no. They,
whole
they they
sort of,
sold it out on purpose. But you said what you said. It's a city that never sleeps. There's
what's
people
yeah, what's
gambling
what's
at
happening?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You know what's so crazy that you say that? And the thing now, the energy in New York now is everybody's rushing to the red light. And they took, I always say there's no progress report to tell you how you're doing. But what I saw before the pandemic was a lot of people doing better for themselves. A lot of people opening little kids, little children. I hate that word kids. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. Little children, 7, 8, 9 years old 10 years old, 11 years old, starting businesses in New York City. So the energy in New York is the energy that, yo, look, I have a saying. If you could get Harlem to sign up, you get the world to sign up. If you could get Harlem into what you're doing, the whole world is going to sign up because they got that energy that goes outward towards everywhere from New York. That's black New York, you know? So yeah, man, that's it, man. I mean, y'all can
The
drop
only
my top
thing I
of it.
would say, like I was listening to this conversation, the only thing that makes me sad, okay, that makes me sad is like a human being, and I could be wrong about this. You can tell me how I'm wrong about it, whatever. But what makes me sad is we listen to people and we talk about like racism and different groups of people or whatever. It makes me sad because I'm like, if you have like two brain cells, if you have a few brain cells, you'll realize that, okay, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Mexican, whatever, we're all the same like sad creature, which is human beings. We're all kind of sad. And I think it gets extra sad when people say like, well, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Chinese, I'm Mexican, and this is like how I identify as a human being. It gets kind of sad because like we're all really stupid. We're all stupid as fuck. Like
Yeah, you know,
we might be the most evolved species on the planet, but we're still really fucking stupid because
Dude, like,
if you think about it, okay, if we're so smart,
let me
why
comment
do we
after.
let trivialities like what your skin color is determine what we do? Like that's
Well,
stupid.
Trevor,
look.
I
My
Let
understand
me
where you're
skin
coming
color
hold on,
from.
hold
ain't
on,
trivial.
hold on. Let me.
Trevor,
I
listen,
got
listen.
him.
He has an opinion, and we
I got
treasure
him.
his opinion.
Okay,
We
Okay,
so
treasure it.
listen.
okay, so
Hold on.
I'll
I
sum up
would,
my opinion. Wait, I'll
I
sum up
would.
my opinion, and then you
Let him
can
sum up his
disseminate.
opinion. Let him sum it
Yeah,
up.
I'll sum it up. Bad towards each other. Like I know that, like that's obvious, right? But if we're so smart, like if we're human beings and we're like the apex predator, right? Why are we so goddamn stupid? Like why
Hold
are we
on.
so stupid that say like, okay, your skin color is different, or you're like woman, or you're a man?
Minnesota, what up?
Okay, what's up, man? I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, there are two different realities. There's one reality for me where I know that black and white is the best gimmick in the world because while we're on so hard on black and white, now let me tell you something. You know how some Puerto Ricans and Dominicans don't identify with being melanated African Americans or Indians or Tainos or whatever the fuck it
We don't
is.
even like
You got
Dominicans. Don't even like Puerto Ricans. So
right,
continue.
right. So you have white people that actually aren't white and are actual nigger blood, but they just look like what we deem as white. So the biggest gimmick played on society is the black and white card, because if blacks and if the alleged black and white are at war, we never get to take time out to look at the real criminal. There's a real criminal. So what I'm saying is, if you're not Khazarian, if you're not of the Khazarian Germanic tribes that run the world, if you're Khazarian Germanic, I can say kiss my fucking ass, you white motherfucker. But if you're Italian, if you're Irish, you got nigga blood in you. That's what they're not telling you. And you could be part of the Aryan nation. So that's like, I'm gonna go out here and be against myself.
Yeah, but
So
Minnesota, they so far
Okay, so
they so
what's
far
so
away from
fucking
that.
stupid about it? So like we're getting into like racism, which is like a monster subject. But I will say this, like in my opinion, what's so fucking stupid about it is that I don't care if you're black, you're white, Chinese, you're Mexican, whatever the fuck it is. Um, the sad thing is that we do as people is we identify. So we do tribalism. So we say like, okay, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Chinese, I'm Mexican. So I have my group. This is like my people, right? And so when you do that though, it gets so sad because like instead of like identifying with intellectual thought or like mindsets or
But
things
people
that
have to do that. People have to identify as groups,
yeah,
so
well,
you're not
okay,
going to get
well
around that.
they do, but they don't. They do, but they don't. So like,
No. Well,
you know,
every community
No,
I see,
you
Jews
don't.
do. Jewish people do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay,
So
and
okay.
they're
people,
Listen,
very
listen, listen.
successful at it.
This forum is not
Let
gonna
me
be for
ask you
that. Wait up,
something.
wait up,
Are
wait up, wait
you
up, wait up, wait up, wait up. Wait
Because
up, wait
I
up,
mean,
guys,
what
please.
he's
No, no, no,
talking
no,
a
my brother.
utopia.
I respect whatever opinion you have. I'm just letting you know that.
well,
Just
it is utopia. It's utopia to say that race doesn't exist and no
it,
one has
it,
problems. But
it exists,
okay, but
but the
that
only
means
reason, no, I understand where you come from because Minnesota probably came in a way where how it affected his people, but that's all he could do is how it affects our people. You spoke on what you were saying, how it affected you and your people and what you were doing. So,
yeah, but I don't have
um,
a people though. I don't have a people. That's the thing
Well,
is I don't
whether
look.
you say you don't have a people or not, you do, and they claim you.
Yeah, no, but I don't claim them. So like what I'm saying is like, yeah,
Uh,
okay,
well,
let's take a look at
I mean
me.
that's bullshit. Because I
No,
mean,
it's not.
if we're
It's
in
Because
not
if
court,
you
bullshit.
didn't
when it
claim
comes
them, you
down and
wouldn't
we're in
say it.
court, you're going to claim them.
No,
I
no,
agree
it's
with
not
you,
bullshit.
Trevor.
So like I could say like, okay, I'm a white dude. That's what I was born with. I didn't choose it. This is my reality, right? And so I could say, okay, well, I'm a white dude and I was born this way. I didn't choose it. It just manifested magically that I'm this dude. And I could say like, well, okay, because this magically manifested, just like everybody else here, like you're a black dude, you're a fucking Chinese girl, whatever. You didn't choose that shit, so you can come into reality and be like, okay, this is my ethnicity, this is my gender, whatever.
And we're proud of it.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to be proud of it
Yeah, it
though, because
is.
Why not?
no, there's
wait, wait,
not.
Why
wait, wait,
not?
wait,
Why
wait,
not
wait.
be
You
Let
can't
proud of
tell
it?
me
let
you
let
should
Why
be
let
can
him
proud of
let
who
why
him.
can
you
I why
are.
can I be
Y'all
proud
Yo,
of
lying.
Why
God
would
what God made
can
me?
you
why
his mic? Whoever's that, mute
no,
Why
his
but
can
mic.
I be proud of what
okay,
God
okay,
gave me?
so what I'm saying is, why would you be proud about something you didn't
Why not?
choose?
Because the Most High did it, and I'm
But you
proud
did,
what He
but yeah,
did.
but you didn't choose it though. So
It
like,
doesn't
so like,
matter.
no,
I'm glad He made.
no,
That's like saying, why are you born with two arms? You're going to be mad you born with two
no,
arms?
no. I could
Can y'all
say,
let him
and
You know
finish
what I'm saying?
speaking,
That's not the
please?
same thing.
Could
no,
y'all
no.
let
I'm
him
Listen,
saying
finish
listen, listen,
speaking,
listen,
please?
listen, 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 listen. Please, guys,
right.
please. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. I understand
I
Trevor.
agree.
I
I
understand
agree.
Trevor where he's coming from. I understand where you're coming from, and we're having a conversation. Why do we have to personalize it on a black experience, white
Yeah, and
experience?
I think the subject.
Why
I
we
think
just
the
can't do it on the
subject.
It's a
subject?
But it's
fact.
Why we just
Yeah.
can't
always
go on
white
subject?
people that do that.
No, it's not.
No, no, but
We
I
Trevor,
think
ain't
the
got. We
subject.
don't
I
know.
I
think
mean,
the
I'm proud
subject
I'm
Trevor,
is
black.
saying.
can you please just listen? I understand where you come from. There's a way and a way to do things and all that. If you feel a certain kind of way or how about he feels, then you give him the same amount of respect that you will want, and you let him speak his mind. And then Trevor, like you
Right.
almost I can tell you because I can't control how you say it. And I'm gonna just let you know. But by you using the strong words, you almost like made a person to be defensive. So if you want to have that conversation, if you want to understand that feeling, well, these people, everybody is a very good intellectual, and they're going to
Sure.
explain to you exactly how it's going to happen. You
Yeah,
understand? But
because
it's going to
But
happen with
black
respect.
people don't
It's
never
going to
get to
happen with
say that.
respect. It's going to happen with respect
but I also
and
feel like
intellectually.
So what I also feel like too is that the subject of the room is about psychotropics, and I feel like we got off subject. So like in a
You brought
way,
race into it.
Yeah.
No, we could bring up
Oh
in this
yeah,
room. We could bring
yeah.
up many
I did.
subjects.
Okay, okay. The subject is that, but that race thing we in America we already know exists. Trevor, I know how you explain it because you stating all the why the subject has to be subjective and put it in the color line. But at the end of the day, I'm really not that I'm not sorry about that, but almost like somebody hit me in the back channel, and the back channel thing was that all those the lines and all that. You said it in the beginning. You said it about the faults and all that. But everything on this earth, my brother, every study, every rabbit hole we go down, is some white people stealing some black people shit and claiming it to be white people shit. And you know
but
this,
I
Trevor.
don't even agree with that. But the thing that I would say is though is the way that we.
All you gotta do is listen to enough things, Trevor. And we went down a rabbit hole. We went on like a 11-hour, 13-hour rabbit hole, and we found psychotropics, all this shit, and landlines, all this shit. Go down into one place, Kemet, where the Greek people went and stole all the Kemet shit
Yep.
and claim it to be white, my brother. So you have to understand where we come from
And the
because
Romans.
it.
And the
If
Romans.
the history books were written on our backs against us, and if you don't want to comprehend that,
Right.
well, I don't
Well,
understand where you
So,
coming
so
from, my brother.
I'm not
right.
even disagreeing with you guys. I'm not
Well,
even
No, no,
listen,
no, no,
listen.
no, no. We're not here to disagree. We're here to. I'm not here to
Let
agree
me
with
give
you
y'all
or
some
disagree
game.
with you.
Let me
But
give
we're
y'all
gonna
some
agree
game.
to disagree, and we're gonna be very respectful of other people, how they come and how the other come.
Right.
But let's not make the conversation about a
Let me
subject. Let's make it
let me
about
give you
of an
let me give
objective.
y'all
yeah
some game.
So,
yeah.
All right.
and we can have
Let's say this.
discourse. Minnesota, one second. We can have discourse. Go
Okay.
ahead, Minnesota.
Yo, look,
Discourse. I
I
want
will say
discourse
this.
properly.
The thing that you got to understand is this. black and white is the actual gimmick. But there are people who are under the actual white tribes, which are the Khazarians, the Germanic tribes that run the world. So under that, you have the creature comfort, and if anybody's ever been bit by the creature comfort makes black people turn to Boule. It makes the white people join the highest Freemasonic aspects and engage in quote unquote conspiracies. So yes, there are conspiracies. There are think tanks like the Tavistock Institute for Human Relations. You actually have people that benefit off of it, but you have lower whites and higher whites. There's levels of whites.
Yes.
There's levels
I
to
tell all my
whiteness.
white friends
And,
the
and,
same
and
thing. This
white,
what this
and,
trailer
and
park tracks
yeah,
the same way as niggas. There's subcultures to
yeah,
every culture.
Yeah.
right. Now
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other thing is black. Now the other thing is black and white actually doesn't exist. And I know that's gonna sound crazy, but white is a class status. Black is a class that when you go to fill out the application, they ask you what you are, and you put white, Pacific Islander, Hispanic. Those are all different class statuses that place you in a. You could be dark as black shoe polish and write down white on the application. When they ask you, yo, you're not white, be like, yes, I am. It's a class status. People
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, what
People,
makes me fucking sad though, so like interjecting, what makes me fucking sad, okay, is that I don't want it to be like that. Like for me, like some of my best friends are fucking black. Some of the smartest people I know on the planet are
It's like
fucking.
what he said. Your ancestors, bro. They don't fucked us up, man. Ain't
Yeah,
about you, my
I
brother.
know.
yeah,
Ain't
yeah,
that the
Yeah,
but
some
you know
shit,
what?
G?
I
I
can honestly sit here and say that, and I don't like, see the thing about race talks and the thing about religion talks. You know what it does? I hate it because it sends
Separates
us here.
human beings,
We
man.
start
Yeah,
talking
can't we
about
just be
but the
humans?
prophet we start getting into segregation like, oh, I'm Muslim and the
yes,
Muslims are
yes,
better than the Jehovah Witnesses and the Jehovah Witnesses is better than the Catholics.
yeah,
That's why I don't like to fuck with it, because it's like so obvious, but nobody notices. That's all you end up doing is saying my God is the right God. It's like
yeah.
saying your color is the right color. So I'll say this, right? As we are people who are seeking enlightenment, be enlightenment. It's no
Yeah.
longer a term to be
And
dumb.
this
Like
room, it has
when he
been a
said
lot
we
of
are dumb,
enlightenment.
yo, when he said we are dumb, like people jumped on Kanye when he said slavery was a choice. It is just like the jab is a choice. We signing up for slavery again. This whole
Yep.
thing is about them getting another 1,000 years of power, and it's a small group. So how do we have 300 people, 300,000 people controlling 7.5 billion people? That's
Right.
because
And
we are
I don't think
that's
it's even.
because we
I don't,
are, like
yeah.
he
I don't,
said, we are stupid. And now
Identity is the greatest divider.
we gotta engage in the high sciences as individuals. I'm
yeah.
not your leader. I speak all over the different platforms. I'm not your leader. Farrakhan ain't your leader. David
Well,
Icke,
well,
David Duke.
the weird thing
No,
now is slavery isn't even about race. Like what happened with slavery is they expanded it. So slavery is not about. It used to be about race, right? Now it's not about race. So everyone's a slave now. So like you're white, you're
Nah, it's
black,
still
you're
about
No,
race.
it's not.
No, no,
no,
no, no, no,
you
no,
know
no,
what?
no, no, no.
no,
What Trevor's saying is 100% true.
it's
Let his plane.
economical though. Is
I'm
what I'm
so
saying.
happy. I'm so yeah, it's a down. I lost family members in this shit, right? When this shit first popped off, but I'm so happy that the white man did this, and I'm so happy that he did it because we're being forced
Yep.
into intelligence. Like we got a bunch of zombies. I was in New York about a week and a half ago, and I was on Union Square, and I couldn't believe the energy of New York is so they like suck the juice out of the people. Everybody's walking with their head down. Nobody knows what's going on. And I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even trust people that went and did that. That were
So could I propose a question for everyone here?
go ahead.
Do you think that okay, so let's think about right now. So not the past, but right now, right? And we look at workers that work for Amazon or all these companies that enslave people, right? Do you think that slavery is based on race right now, or do you think it's based on equal opportunity? Because I'll add a caveat to this. So So I think what happened to slavery in the past, yes, African Americans were enslaved in the past, and I don't deny that, and I don't say that was a good thing.
I
But I
really
think
hate
what
when
happened,
intellectual discussions end up in this fucking basic shit. Because at the end of the day, this is fucking basic, and because Musa Musa will not be enslaved by no motherfucker.
it's
Yeah.
not, it's not basic. I'm saying, like, if you look
No,
at
no, I'm
the,
not talking about you in itself. I'm just talking about where this beautiful intellectual